Hey ladies, it's Tamika TTC. Welcome back. It is cycle 7. It is day 7. Cycle 7, day 7. This is just a quick video because I have to vent. Okay, so this is my 7th cycle, and it is also my last attempt at doing this without having to go through IVF. And I just wanted to get prepared. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I was waiting until the new year to contact my doctor and have them put in a pre-authorization for IVF. Now, with my medical insurance, as you may know from previous videos, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but my current medical insurance does cover infertility, and it actually covered IUI. However, my insurance denied my IUIs because they felt that my tubes were diseased, right? Because I have one black tube, and my HSG report basically states that I have mild hydrosalpinx in my open tube, right? So, when I started this journey, I did discuss with my RE that how we move forward if the IUIs didn't work, considering my blocked tube, and he and I had agreed on 3 IUIs before seriously considering IVF. In my frustration after 2 IUIs, I decided I wanted to move to IVF, and then the doctor told me he wasn't happy with my weight, right? So that put things off for about 2 months, and then I won 4 free vials, right? So with the 4 free vials, I thought that was an opportunity to try IUI again, at least for 1/3 time, and maybe a couple of home inseminations since I wasn't happy with the timing, right? So I was going to do 2 more IUIs, at least 1 home insemination, and then save my very last vial for IVF, right? Then I missed the cycle, right? So that left an extra vial. I did do a home insemination last cycle that, of course, failed, and I plan to do a home insemination this cycle. So after this cycle, I will officially have 2 vials left. So I called my insurance today, or I should say, I called the doctor's office today. It all started with the doctor's office, right? Called the doctor's office and said, I just want to get a pre-authorization for IVF. And the doctor is going through an IVF cycle right now. He's doing egg retrievals this month, so they're incredibly busy. But the nurse said that she would try to work on it. Okay, great. She then calls me back and says, oh, well, I just got off the phone with your insurance, and you don't have coverage for IVF. That doesn't make much sense. Well, you did have coverage for IUI, but not for IVF. And I said, okay. And then she proceeded to tell me that the cost for a cycle of IVF was somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000, and that's not even including the cost of meds. Big sigh, right? Okay, I knew this, but I still don't think something's right with the insurance, right? So I go and I look at my coverage documentation, and there is documentation there. It does specifically mention IUI, but it does not specifically mention IVF. Instead, what it says is ART, Artificial Reproductive Technologies, okay? ART. So IVF, surrogacy, and a few other things all fall under ART. So if this documentation says that I have infertility coverage that covers IUI and ART, then it covers IVF too. So I don't understand what the doctor's office or what the nurse was able to get from my insurance. And To be quite honest, this is the same thing that we went through when I started IUI, right? The receptionist, I guess, when they went to call to validate my insurance, basically told me I wasn't covered for anything and I had to pay out of pocket. And I pushed the issue. I kept talking to insurance, and come to find out, I do have infertility coverage. They did cover IUI. It just so happens that they wouldn't cover mine because of my tube issues, and basically said I had to go another route. That was even after an appeal from the doctor's office, because my doctor did perform my RE did perform the HSG himself. So, and he said he personally talked to, I guess, the physician who was in charge of making the determination, and still they came back and said my tubes were diseased and refused to pay for my IUIs. So I paid for 3 IUIs out of pocket. As far as IVF goes, okay, if you don't want to pay for my IUIs, then IVF should be a no-brainer for me, right? But my doctor just has to submit a pre-auth. But when the nurse is calling and they're saying I basically have no coverage for IVF, that's sort of ridiculous. And I'm thinking someone on the other line told her that because it didn't specifically say IVF. It just says ART. And this is the reason why I feel that way. I called the insurance myself and I asked for someone to explain to me what my family planning benefits were in regards to infertility. And she commenced in reading off the same one sheet table like document that I've already seen. Okay, well, I am used to, when I pick out my insurance from employers, receiving a big fat book that explains to the T what is covered, what's not covered, how much, which all you have to do to go about getting it covered and all of that. And she says, oh, well, all of our plans with the employers are really customized. We can't print books for every member, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but basically you're just reading what's already on this one sheet of paper that is so very vague. It doesn't even explain what ART is. However, if you look up a basic definition of ART, in vitro is basically an umbrella term for everything other than AI, IUI, and natural insemination, right? It's basically an umbrella term. So and basically she's just like, oh, well, I can't tell you more than, I'm trying to read it here, which means you're trying to understand it just like I'm trying to understand it. So listen, if you don't know what it means and you can't give me the information on that, then what number should I be calling so I can figure this out? Because this process is stressful enough as it is, and calling my insurance and being told by someone that's basically shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, you got to submit a pre-auth anyway, so just submit the pre-auth and then, it'll either be approved or denied or whatever. And I'm just like, well, if I have the coverage, does it say whether I have any limits, how much it's going to cover, anything? No, I just have to submit a pre-authorization. I'm perturbed at this. I am totally perturbed at this, right? Because here's the deal. If I would just pay attention and listen to what my doctor's office said, right? Oh, we called your insurance. They said you don't have coverage. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to come out of pocket this money, right? If I were to do that, come out of pocket this $8,000 to $10,000, and then find out later that I did actually have coverage, but did not get that pre-auth first, and now I'm not going to get reimbursed like I should be getting reimbursed. And I would have paid more money than I needed to because somebody didn't do their job. Seriously? This is why I learned at the age of 24 that it is very important for you to be your own advocate, okay? It is important. When you're going through a process, an expensive process like this, don't just listen to the doctor's office. And I say this because in the beginning when I was going through my IUI stuff, um, you know, the doctor's office told me they contacted my insurance. Insurance said I had no infertility coverage, but I knew I had infertility coverage. I called myself, and the person I talked to on the phone basically said, well, that's what it sounds like. It wouldn't be covered. This is that and the other. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to pay out of pocket. And then in all of the mix in trying to find the right pharmacy for my meds, which were covered, so I only had to pay copays on my meds for the IUIs. I just it just bugged me that much that I mentioned it again to this person since I just happened to be on the phone with them. And then they told me that my plan included some sort of fertility program where I got a private nurse that I could talk to and ask questions. And I'm like, nobody, if I had no infertility coverage, where'd this program come from? Why am I just now hearing about this? I've called maybe 3 times and nobody said anything. And I don't know if it's just the people who are answering the phones when you call and trying to get benefits and eligibility information. But it's like, listen, if you're answering questions about infertility, then you need to understand what you're answering. I'm not calling so that you can read me the same things that I can read myself. I want somebody who has more understanding, more details, more information, and can basically enlighten me. Okay? If you're reading the same document I'm reading, you're not enlightening me at all. Like, this is pointless. So, long story short, be an advocate for yourselves, folks. I mean, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I really don't know how it's going to turn out. But if basically I'd call back the doctor's office and just basically say, submit the pre-auth anyway. The information that they told you on the phone is incorrect. Just submit the pre-auth with the codes and let's see how it comes back. Because my insurance, the people on the phone, they don't seem to know what they're talking about. So that's where we are. Hopefully this comes back good. They denied. Basically, when I was on the phone with the insurance lady, basically said there's a bunch of codes in relation to IVF. And she put in a few of those codes to see if I had any coverage. And basically, it was all under manual review. This is kind of expected, right? Because most insurances don't want to just straight up pay for IVF, right? So they want you to do so many IUIs before you can do IVF and all that other great stuff. So I expected something to come back sort of manual or inconclusive, but I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to come back straight up, no, denied, this isn't part of your coverage whatsoever. And that's not how it was coming up. So fingers crossed, everything crossed, fingers crossed, toes crossed, legs, arms crossed, hair braided, okay, that this comes back. Even when I asked about any limits, if there was like a dollar limit or anything, she said she didn't see any limits. Usually they do mention like a lifetime limit or something like that. There's nothing there. So it's quite possible that I don't have any limit. So I don't know. But can you imagine if I just said, oh, I don't have coverage, and I didn't question it, and I didn't say, well, you know what, I read that it did cover art, so if it covers art, why wouldn't it cover IVF? Like, IVF is just a form of art. Art is just an umbrella term. If I wasn't educated in this, I would have said, oh, okay, and, swipe on my own card to pay for the next stages on my own. Can you imagine the devastation in putting out that much money after already paying $6,000 plus out of pocket for something that I know is covered, but they refuse to cover for me because of the condition of my body? Just be smart, girls. Be smart. be an advocate for yourself. Make sure you're familiar with your insurance. When the doctor's office tells you one thing, you look at that documentation yourself. Call the insurance yourself. Get an understanding of what all this stuff means. Don't take no for an answer, okay? There are plenty of states out here that have mandated infertility coverage. And yeah, maybe you have to jump through some hoops, but you know, especially if it asks for a pre-auth, just have them send the pre-auth anyway. Just do the paperwork, just send the pre-auth anyway. If I'm not covered, it'll come back quick, right? And just say that I'm not covered. And at least that way I know that I tried, and you know, if it's not covered, it's not covered. But just be an advocate for yourself. That's all I can say. Okay. So now that I have that out of my system, let's talk a little bit today about cycle day 7. So it's been an interesting week. I know the last time I talked to you was cycle day 3 or 4. Was it 4? I think it was 4. Anyway, that was the last time I talked to you. It's cycle day 7. I am not doing the soy isoflavones, right? I'm pretty much doing the same protocol. I mentioned about the, I'll put in here, the Quai. This stuff is disgusting, okay? But it's once a day. I'm managing, okay? And I did look up the Quai, and the Quai has it's touted as like the female ginseng, right? It's what ginseng is to men, to females. So it's supposed to boost a whole bunch of things, help regulate your hormones. It helps with so many different things. Because I came on here to vent, I don't have any of that stuff prepared. But I did look at a couple of very good links. I'm going to put them down in the description, so be sure to check those out. Because Quai, which you can get in I guess in like a gel cap or a capsule form, but oh gosh, I can smell this stuff. Oh, it's disgusting. It tastes like burnt leaves. But they actually say the liquid form of this is the best form. So it's disgusting, and I'm supposed to take it on an empty stomach. Anyway, so I've been taking this, and so I've been taking it since cycle day 4, because that's when it was given to me. And you know, I'm kind of dealing, and my temperature, my basal temperature, which I've been tracking, I continue to track, has come down over the course of my period, and then it started to go back up, and this morning it made like an over half degree spike, and I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. This here spike, it was like almost into the 98s. It was like 97.8, something like that. So I said, okay, I'm starting to get a little worried that I'm gonna have one of those like early ovulation type cycles again, coming off of the soy, I guess. So I took an OPK this morning, and it was light, very faint line, but considering this is now 2 elevated temperatures, it's possible that I already ovulated, right? But I would have ovulated on, say, day 5, if that was the case. So, it's hard to tell. I'll know more in the next few days. I haven't had any, like, watery or egg white type CM, so I don't know. Like I said, the OPK was very light. I was very curious, so I did use the Ferning microscope, and now that I know how to properly focus, I will say there's some Ferning in there. There is some Ferning. It's not exactly, I wouldn't call it full Ferning. Let me just show you the picture here. Yeah, so I wouldn't call it full ferning. I think it's even though it seems to be a lot, I think it's more transitional than anything else, which means I'm probably gonna ovulate in the next 3 or 4 days. Um, and I mentioned this to my acupuncturist just because I wanted to get her thoughts because I'm like starting to panic, right? And what she told me is that a spike that early in the cycle is more of a stress response. So like either too much exercise, not enough exercise, high stress, poor sleep. Um, and well, I was highly stressed yesterday and I didn't get very good sleep either, so that is probably why my temp was high. But never mind while I was stressed. Let's just say it was a plumbing issue and I'm out almost $500 over the course of a week. Pissed, okay? Pissed. And it's not my fault. It's the fault of some other people who live in here. Again, pissed. But anyway, um, pissed about that. There was an argument that ensued um, as well yesterday or the day before that. So it's just been a lot going on this week. Um, but so that if that's the case, then my basal temps were pretty spot on, right? High stress, and then my sleep was very broken. I don't even think that I got a good 3.5, 4 hours sleep last night. So hopefully, if I can go to bed at a decent hour tonight, my temps will look a little better tomorrow. But I am glad that I am better or that I figured out how to focus, because had I not figured out how to focus, I would not have seen that ferning right there. So I'm basically going to do ferning every day from here on out until I ovulate, just so I can kind of give you a progression that it makes, because what I should start to see is more of the ferning as I get closer. But considering that I'm already seeing the ferning, which means my estrogen is getting up there, it's looking like I'm, even without the soy isoflavones, that I am going to ovulate pretty early. So that probably has a lot to do with the Dong Quai. I do have my other herbs, those really expensive ones. I do have those coming in. They should come in pretty soon this week. Again, I'm still doing the pomegranate juice, so the 8 ounces every day. I try to eat a banana every day too. Since I don't have the other herbs, I have also been taking serapeptase. I do want to say be very careful, because serapeptase does have a blood thinning agent in it. And the Dong Quai does the same thing. It also has a blood thinning agent. So I am not taking the serapeptase like I was previously. I am taking sort of a double dose, not a quadruple dose, but sort of a double dose, but I only take it once a day. And I take them separate. So I do the Dong Quai in the morning and I do the serapeptase at night. So everything else I'm still doing. I'm still doing my tangy tangerine vitamins. I'm still doing my 1 a day prenatals. I'm still doing my CoQ10 gummies and my hair, skin, and nail gummies. And I think, oh, and my evening primrose oil. I'm still doing that too. So, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I feel like because I'm not doing the soy isoflavones, like I'm missing something, but I'm not really missing anything. And my body is, registering the estrogen, so that's good. I guess I'm just have to see. I did order my tank. Today is Monday. I ordered my tank to ship on Wednesday and be delivered on Thursday. So Thursday would be my cycle day 10. So hopefully, if I don't peak on cycle day 10, which I'm not sure that I will peak on cycle day 10, but because the ferning is there, this is 3-4 days. I wanted to make sure that I shipped the tank overnight. So it would just be in transit one day and I would have the other 6 days if I needed it. So that's where we are. But I really just had to vent about the insurance thing, and I'm gonna let you guys know how it comes back. But it's incredibly frustrating, and this process is so frustrating to begin with. This is one thing that we don't need. We don't need to be fussing with doctor's offices and insurance and whether something is covered or not because somebody doesn't know what artificial reproduction technologies are. This is a very stupid thing. Like, if you are not familiar with like fertility terms, then you shouldn't be answering questions. Like, seriously, if you don't have a glossary or something or some definition of what art means, you shouldn't be answering questions. Like, and I seriously asked if I should be calling another number or asking someone more specifically about this because it is infertility, calling a different number and all of that, because that sheet did have a different number to dial if I had questions. So I probably should have just dialed that number. And I probably will tomorrow. Just dial that number anyway. I did get in contact with that nurse. I left her a voice message and I left her a message. And there's like a little portal thing. I left her a message there. And maybe I'll hear back from her tomorrow. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm incredibly frustrated. And insurance is a racket anyway, and it's all about as much money as they can get and not have to pay. So I don't know. I do hope that this works out for the best. I am prepared, to figure out my means for how I'm going to pay for this. And then top all of this off, I don't even know if the doctor will move forward with me in March because I haven't lost all of my 35 pounds yet. So, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm like hormonal. I probably am going to ovulate sometime soon because I was just ready to go off on some people today. And I've been like in a mood for like the past couple days. Like, you don't even know. So I'm definitely not pregnant. But I've been in a mood. So anyway, I'm just glad that I could record this video for you guys today. And just be an advocate for yourself. Just be an advocate. And hopefully this all works out. In the meantime, I will catch you on Insemination Day. Bye! Sticky baby dust to all those TTC.